James Steinhubel, TVU on the Real Estate Channel. And today I've got Jeff Lorenz, team leader of the Lorenz Team Property Marketing Group. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Really nice to have you. So, you know, you're a high level activity, a real estate marketing team here in Sherwood Park in the county. COVID hits. How are you guys doing? How are you responding?
Well, I mean, who would have expected, everything to play out the way that it had? Real estate was deemed an essential service, which gave us the opportunity to continue marketing our product and marketing ourselves. The reality of the COVID environment that we found ourselves in was that buyers ultimately were told to stay home, and it certainly reduced the activity within our marketplace, despite the fact that we were considered an essential service. So I guess the short answer is that we're doing everything that we can to continue promoting our product. We were able to continue showing properties to buyers that felt comfortable enough to go out into other properties. And if nothing else, we wish it was busier, but we certainly are continuing to move forward.
Excellent. Now, you know, you're quite the interesting realtor. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you have 13 years straight Medallion Award Achiever in this area. In 2008, you were the 19th realtor in the whole world for volume. And there's one, and you've been in business for 15 years. You're like a world champion realtor right here amongst us.
Well, I don't know about that. Sometimes
the stats are the stats, right?
Well, I'll take it. Yeah, back in 2008, we had an incredible run, and that was largely because we were the sales marketing team for the Center in the Park project in Sherwood Park, which for anybody in our community knows that to be a staple development in the core of Sherwood Park. And so we were fortunate enough to land the contract with Christensen Developments at the time and marketed those first few buildings. So that led to about $128 million worth of real estate in about 4 or 5 months. And certainly that was on the tail of what was the crazy market that we all remember in 2006, 2007. So that was an interesting year for sure. And once you've been in the business for a while and you establish yourself and you have a system in place that works, sometimes the business sort of starts to take care of itself.
Well, you got a pretty sophisticated team. Tell us about your team.
Well, I mean, the way we built out our team was to have people that focused on specific areas of real estate. So residential real estate, while it's kind of an easy term to throw around, there's a lot of nuances and niches within that, whether it be condos, single family homes, acreages. And so we wanted to make sure that when we were working with our customers, we had an area of expertise within each of those silos, if you will. So that's how I built out my team. And I have a member who very specifically focuses on the rural markets. We have a satellite office out of Tofield, and he probably has about 50% or better of the market share in the rural, particularly in the Tofield market. Another member of our team has taken a keen interest in the condominium market, which was my, real staple or entry into the real estate world with the Christensen contract I mentioned. And it's really just a matter of having everybody sort of own an area, and then we can all lean on each other. So as a team, we do operate a little bit differently, I think, than other teams in the sense that we really do collaborate and share in each other's experience, successes, and we work really well together.
And your back office support, you've got a full team there too?
That's right, yeah. So you're only as good as your paperwork, I think, a lot of the time. And real estate, unfortunately, and probably no different than many other industries, has become quite litigious. And if you don't really have quality paperwork, but a really solid system in place, you expose yourself, you expose your clients, and in all honesty, I believe that the primary responsibility of a realtor is to protect their client by way of navigating the contracts and just making sure that they're not just serviced in terms of buying and selling a property, but protecting them through the actual contractual obligations of real estate.
And that leads me to another line of questioning, and I saw it on your on your webpage, and it was very interesting that you're actively building your team. So, so is this people that have no real estate experience, or you're looking for current realtors? Like, how does someone get on a team with a leader like you? You know, I think if you're going into business, you want to have a guy like you, right? So.
Well, I mean, I'd like to think so. There are some people who are going to want to just do it their way, and they'll be very successful on their own. When I first created the team at the time, it was when my dad was still in the business, and we were, I think, if not the very first, one of the very first teams probably in the country. And very shortly after that, you just started to see team after team after team, and sometimes it was just individual realtors joining forces to brand themselves. For us, it's, I guess the difference is that we really want to have people that work very well with specific cohorts in the industry. So by growing our team, whether it be somebody who's new and we teach them right from the onset the ropes, or somebody who's established and just wants to have the support of other people around them that can collaborate and can share their experiences and help grow your own personal business through different marketing endeavors, etc. For me, it doesn't matter if it's somebody experienced versus inexperienced. It's just who that person is, how they fit within our dynamic, what their personality is like. We're all family orientated. Everybody in my team has a university degree, so we tend to take a very analytical approach to a lot of our processes and how we converse with our clients and stuff. So it's just about having a good fit, I think, and then it's a win-win.
And then, okay, so you're someone you have to or want to sell your property, or you're someone that you have to or want to buy property. Well, what am I gonna as a buyer or seller gonna experience now with Lorenz Team, with the consciousness of the time that we're in, to get this done?
Well, the reality of our environment hasn't changed our process, because our process is really about educating our clients right from the onset of talking to us at the interview stage of choosing a realtor right through to when a possession happens and commissions are paid. So we've created a variety of marketing packages specific to buyers or sellers. We've designed a roadmap. The roadmap identifies all those different sequential steps that people will go through in the process of buying or selling. And we're very particular about sitting down and having those conversations well before we even put a sign on the lawn or meet somebody in front of a house to show them. And in this way, we can set expectations. We are all on the same page in terms of what the process will look like. We're very clear and upfront on what the cost of service is. And for us, it's, again, regardless of the environment that we find ourselves in right now, it's about just educating and taking people through a process that's been tried, tested, and has worked for us for decades.
So then if they want to list their house, or they want to interview as a realtor, or interview as a realtor, or even go see properties, can that be done virtually right now, or is that not allowed under the real estate rules? How does that work?
Right. So with COVID, the main difference, I suppose, is just the process behind actually viewing a property or having the property shown. So we're trying to be as obviously diligent and safe as we can to protect ourselves, our customers. If you're a buyer or a seller, there are health questionnaires now that are required to be signed. You only get for 24 hours. In fact, I just finished booking some showings for a buyer who wants to look at some places. And so we filled out the questionnaire, and every time I called into the realtor agent to show their listing, I sent them a copy of the questionnaire so can see that we're both in good health. We have masks, we have gloves. So from the standpoint of viewing the property, we're taking obviously a number of steps just to ensure that we're protecting everybody as best as we can. But we're still showing properties. I've said all along that you can do a virtual open house and people can look online at pictures. In all honesty, that really hasn't changed. People had that technology before we were hit with this pandemic. But at the same time, I've yet to find somebody who's prepared to offer on a property or buy a property without actually physically seeing it. There's just too many nuances that go into that type of purchase beyond the scope of just a picture or a video tour. People, have a feel for a home. They walk in and they smell, they hear, they do so many other things, and you need to attach to all those senses before you're going to be able to put a buyer and seller together and have a mutually agreeable deal.
So then you mentioned PPE, like personal protection equipment. Is it supplied? If I'm a buyer and I'm looking at property, do I have to bring my own? How does that work?
So we do have gloves and masks. We have them as a team as well as a brokerage. So our brokerage has provided boxes of gloves and masks and hand sanitizers and wipes and all that sort of stuff. And so my vehicle's full of them, our brokerage is full of them, and then when we meet our customers, we just let them know if they have their own, these are bring it, not provided for them. The seller has the discretion to decide what they want from a buyer when they walk through a property. So they can insist on gloves or masks. Some don't. But in every case, we're at a point now where we're just sort of opening the front door. Sellers are leaving lights on, leaving doors open, even leaving some cupboards open and stuff. Where in the past it would all sort of be shut down and you go into a property and you'd be sort of opening things up as you go. Now we're just touching less. We're trying to keep our showings to 10 minutes or less, just reducing our sort of footprint on the listing. And then on the other side of the equation, because we carry a lot of inventory, we're just telling people, look, you need to be aware that a buyer that comes in may answer all the questions correctly and may take all of the necessary steps to protect themselves and us. There's no guarantees, and so we just have to be cognizant of that. And for that reason alone, some sellers have chosen to suspend their listings or temporarily suspend their listings until this softens.
And then what about document signings, like signing offers and counter offers?
Well, one of the best advancements in technology has been electronic signatures, and so our board does recognize electronic signatures. There's two programs that are the most used in our industry right now. One's called esign, it's the used, and another is DocuSign. And so they authenticate people's signatures through a device, whether it be a phone or tablet or computer. And we've had that long before COVID. In fact, like I said, it's something that came along and actually changed our business entirely. A lot of the stuff that we do, we want to make sure people understand what we're signing. At the end of the day, it doesn't mean that you have to drive up to their house at 10 o'clock at night to sign an offer to send it in, which is the way it was when I started.
Yes. And okay, so the going into COVID and now kind of exiting and all this other kind of protocols that were put onto you and the new kind of communication that's happening, anything that's going to carry forward, or is you going to leave all these changes behind, or anything that's going to stick with you?
Well, I think the process of just being extra diligent when you're entering into a seller's home, I think some of these new processes will stay. In the past, I'm not sure everybody was perhaps as aware of the impact they had on the seller's home when they went through it and touching things that maybe they didn't need to touch. And COVID is certainly having an impact across a number of industries. For us, the technology was already there, video conferencing was already here, electronic signatures was already here. The process and how you go through a home is perhaps going to change a little bit. Our team meetings are certainly changing. I mean, my guy who's in Tofield had to drive in once a week for a team meeting because we wanted to mandate that, and we were forced into using Zoom as an option in social distancing, and found it to be really effective. And now we're actually meeting more frequently, more on point, and without taking as much time, reducing commute times, that sort of thing. So I think that some of those technologies will certainly be more useful moving forward. And we'll probably see people continuing to do more of the virtual open houses and stuff. Again, I'm not sure that a buyer is necessarily going to purchase a home without going through it physically, but certainly the ability to move that information through the industry will continue as we move forward.
It's very, very insightful. Thank you. So, as a a top business person in our community, someone who's built a business through many times unseen adversity, but has also risen to the highest achievements in your profession and recognized around the world. Grew up here. You see, most of the people around town, and they know you. You've seen what we've gone through. From that perspective, what words of insight and encouragement can you share at this time?
Well, I mean, I suppose the most I'm not sure if it's insightful, but if I was to share anything with anybody, frankly, in the business community, I think it's all about staying power. And I think the people that have the capacity to stay in their business, and real estate is obviously the world that I know. And I've seen people come and go, and it's largely because they just don't have the capacity to weather the storms and the ebbs and flows of the market. And while COVID has certainly had a dramatic impact on the volume of sales and the reduction of listings, we've seen a lot of markets. Every decade has seen some type of an upswing and downswing. And I think right now it's just about staying the course and don't outspend yourself. Make sure you have that kind of reserve for the downtimes. And if you're in it and things turn around, that's typically when you see some pretty good upswings in the market as well. I think as things relax a little bit and people start to have some confidence in the marketplace, the people who have been able to weather the storm are going to see an influx of opportunity in business. When that happens, I'm not sure yet, but I believe it's to come. Historically speaking, we said coming out of the pandemic, we typically see almost like a hyperinflationary market because people are ready to spend their money and get out and do things. So whether or not it's quite like that this time around, I don't know, but I think you will see an uptick and it'll be pretty aggressive. So for us, we're kind of hanging on. Business hasn't come to a full stop, but it's definitely slowed. And I think that when we start to see that confidence back, you'll see a big increase in sales.
And if I may summarize you, it's sort of the last call for buy low. Jeff Lorenz, team leader of the Lorenz Team Property Marketing Group. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate your time. Thanks for having me.
Goodbye now.